Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Sama, Seattle Circuit Music and Art. Did you know that Sama actually means heaven in Arabic? And also it's a kind of an honorific when you're addressing somebody who's teaching you in ancient Japanese. You see sensei or sifu in Chinese. That's what we're doing here. We're not teaching you per se, but we're offering and sharing artists and art and music from all over the world at these really interesting times. We've been doing Sama now for over a year. Started at the beginning of the pandemic. Now we're in some type of transition. If you were to speak to friends of ours in India or South America, they would not say there's any transition, but we're hoping that we can get through this and we can get back to live shows, back to travel, back to being around each other, and hopefully better human beings having gone through this. I'm Derek Mazzoni. I am the host of Sama. You can find us here every single week. We're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We have videos on TikTok and also on Twitter and many more places. We got a special edition of Sama tonight. We're going to be speaking with Graham Daniels, who is part of Addictive TV. They're digital artists known for their movie supercuts and creation of audiovisual remix material. They've been doing this for a long time, and they've been doing just about every single facet of this. They've recut major features, music videos. They've done a really interesting work, community-focused work, and cultural-focused work. I've been playing their music on my radio show, and I'm playing their music in my DJ sets. The most recent work is Orchestra of Samples, which is a powerful and fascinating tale of the times that we're in. And I'm going to share that with you in just a flash. We're going to be talking to Graham. But first, I want to share with you some work that they've done before. This is a piece called Drum and Dogs.
Bring up. Set. Yeah. Take 18.
Addictive TV, Drums and Dogs. I love that work. And I didn't know who these cats were until recently as I was playing their music. They're way more than that and deeper. And so right now we got Graham Daniels, Addictive TV. How's it going?
Hello, Seattle.
Well, hello, London. It's always weird. Yeah. It's like a Spinal Tap moment. Hey, Cleveland. It's like, okay, how you doing?
Hello. Oh, where are we?
Where are we? We're in ether space right now. Graham, thanks for being here.
Thank you. And thanks for sharing our work.
That's beautiful work, and we got a lot to talk about. So how did you kind of like make that happen? How do you like take this thing that lives in clubs, sweat, great, beautiful, and put it in like, no, we're going to take this and we're going to put it into the arena for the art that we on par with other cultural representations.
I guess I don't really look at it that way. I guess is the easy.
All right, tell me how you look at it.
That's difficult to explain in that sort of sense. It's just the way I see the world.
Okay.
in that.
How do you see the world?
Something like that happened, and they were looking for ideas. They sent out these open calls, and it said that they were looking for ideas that utilised the Royal Docks, because the Royal Docks, despite the word royal being in there, for anyone listening and watching around the world, it's not some
That's where the yacht comes and everybody comes.
Yeah, no, it's nothing to do with kind of it's the Royal Docks, because it was many years ago. In fact, times, I mean, it's got a in some ways a bad history because of colonialism and everything, of where the East India Dock, and all the tea and then everything. That's where it all came in, and those were the docks. And at one point, I think it was the biggest enclosed docks in the world. I mean, I'm not an expert, but now, as it happens, it's I think the largest regeneration program in the UK, and one of the largest in Europe. I mean, if you go down there, it's just the whole areas, building sites, and over kind of the last 20 years, it became quite a kind of poverty-stricken kind of area, and that wasn't, it was all just closed because after a lot of the actual docks themselves closed, and boats don't go in there. They're not docks anymore. I mean, there's some of the old warehouses are kind of abandoned and blah blah blah.
Okay.
Some of them are turned into kind of offices, and some of them 10 years ago, that's where kind of cool parties were. In fact, actually, I don't think the council were probably that pleased about it, but I think it was only about 2-3 months ago, during kind of the middle of terrible lockdown, when during obviously the pandemic, there was a big illegal rave in one of the warehouses.
I heard about this. I was interviewing Kruder and Dorfmeister for another project, and they were like, "This is crazy."
Yeah, they arrested God knows how many people and fined them thousands and thousands of pounds. And
what are you doing?
But yeah, that gives you the idea of a picture of what the place is like, despite the word royal. But part of it is also really, really, really nice, where they've rebuilt sections. Yeah. And in fact, there's this incredible, in fact, you saw it in the video, there's an incredible building that was built there that then sat empty for quite a number of years. And in fact, the Mayor of London's office next year at some point is moving into this building. So the whole kind of London government, as it were, the offices for the Mayor of London is going to move right into the Royal Docks. And so again, it's all part of this regeneration. So the area is, is kind of improving.
It's coming back. Okay, cool. Thank you. But the fact that you're in it, that you're part of that conversation. You've evolved from a club VJ kid to being part of this, the reality of what's happening right now. And as far as the evolution of London culture, the different populations. Let's go. We could talk for hours, but let's go to our journeys, okay?
Okay, yeah, it's a good link.
Addictive TV on Sama.
Our journeys, all so different. Where we end up, who knows? Where we started, that's what shows. Each of us from poles apart, mismatched together like a beautiful work of art. We pitched up our tents in Brent, at first divergent, opposed, but now a family grows. With tender natures and caring souls, we try our best to be inclusive, but sometimes we miss the mark. Does that make us abusive?
Lovely work, really lovely work. So I'm curious. Tell me how you we talked about a little bit of your origin.
Go and watch that. It's actually a documentary. That's only kind of the trailer that's made up.
You did the whole doc?
Yeah. It's a whole 30-minute documentary that I directed. That we made last year, that we produced. That in fact, the story behind that, which you'll be pleased to know, in that is definitely a kind of arc and development, is that was developed as a live cinema project. That was actually meant to be performed at the theatre, the Kiln Theatre in Kilburn in West London. Because last year, 2020, was the London Borough of Culture was in Brent. And they have a bit like, there's a thing in Europe they do called the European Capital of Culture, and every few years it's a different city. And a bit like sort of the Olympics, it attracts sort of funding, and then you get a lot of artists and productions and people doing stuff, is that London has been doing it for a couple of years, where they've wanted to have a London Borough of Culture. And a borough is essentially like an area of London. And London has 30-something boroughs. And they want to have one every year that's a different borough. So it kind of enables people to move about, experience culture in different parts of London, etc., etc. And also, if tourists come here, they can go not just to the West End or to the Shoreditch in East London, to the cool places. They can check out other places. And last year it was Brent, and we were working with a charity there, the Asian People's Disability Alliance, that we've done work with before. And we said to them a couple of years ago, we said, oh, you know that, you know, in a couple of years, the Borough of Culture is going to be Brent, where you're based. Why don't we come up with an idea and pitch a project together? And that's kind of where that project came from, in that it was mainly based on interviewing a lot of their residents. And then it began to become a bit wider and encapsulate kind of interesting stories from other elderly residents. But the idea, it's about migrants, and it was all about kind of not recent migrants. The idea being, because often there are so many projects about kind of people that have come here in the last sort of 10 years or so because of wars and this kind of thing. But what often people don't look at is how that has that migration isn't obviously a new thing. It's been going on for, you know, thousands of years. But there's a lot of migration into the UK, say like in the 1950s and 1960s and 70s. And a lot of those migrants are quite elderly now. And so the idea behind the project was to take these interviews and get them to tell the stories of their lives, of how they came here. And then we would pick interesting stories out and then build music around it and perform the whole thing with video. So it was like a live cinema documentary. And we were working, and in fact, because we did the soundtrack as well, and some of the music on there is by 3 blind musicians that we've also done a lot of work with, who, in fact, we also toured India with, but that's another story for another project. But and so they were going to perform the project live with us, and then because of the whole pandemic, and we were commissioned just before it was, I think it was 2019, and it was November-ish, December-ish, that we actually found out. And so we had a whole year to make the project. And then, of course, we started to make it in kind of like February, March, and then there was lockdowns and pandemic, and the whole thing had to change because theatres were closed, etc., etc. Yeah. We lost the partner there, and so we had to change our plans. And poor old Brent, they ended up having to, you know, because the European Football League, the Euros, were meant to be held at Wembley that year. If people have heard of Wembley Stadium, and that's in the heart of Brent, and they were going to do a big street party, all connected to the Euro championships, etc., etc. And all of that had to be cancelled. Lots and lots of people's projects were cancelled. We're lucky that it wasn't cancelled, and they just said, "What can you do?" Because obviously you can't perform it. And we said, "Well, we've shot like half of it. We still need to do a bit more." And then we had to wait until lockdown eased in the summer last year. And that was when, you know, you weren't allowed to meet up more with a handful of people. Just myself and Francois, just a couple of us went and we shot the rest of it ourselves. And then we had to kind of match the footage and then edited it, did a lot of music over Zoom with my partners that I was doing it with. And so it was quite kind of difficult in that sort of sense. And then, and then we finished it, and we still kind of had to do a sharing event. We did it online and this kind of thing. But yeah, it's a 30-minute documentary, and it's quite moving. Some of the stories are, without giving too much away, they're very, 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 emotional, very moving.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people who saw it. It said it made them cry, and it's
exactly what we want right now.
Yeah, it's I do say to people, please go and see. Sorry, I'm talking into
no.
Go and watch. It's on YouTube, and go and get those numbers up, leave comments, and it's a very worthwhile project. But so that's kind of where that came from, that project.
Perfect. That's a great story, but it also speaks to your evolution as an artist, and this is one of the things that also I try to stress in doing these live streams and these videos around it. Is like you're telling a story right now of the plans that were made, and then suddenly, boom, we have a pandemic. Those plans done. All right, so let's go into Orchestra of Samples. I want to play behind the scenes, but why don't you give me a brief description of this, the most recent project. There it is.
There it is. I happen to have the vinyl here.
You've got vinyl? You didn't tell me that. Look at you.
Yeah. And it's double vinyl. There's two, and this was recorded, especially, or rather pressed, at 45 RPM. So you play it faster for better quality. But But
where's the vinyl available?
Is it
Bandcamp?
Sorry, I'm just talking. Is there any still on Bandcamp? There's probably some still.
There's only like 3 left.
There's only about 3 left of which I'm told. But that was because it was released with the German label K7, and then when they finished their stock, and we decided to only be in a 3-year deal with them, and then the deal was up, and then we got the right. And so then we just recently digitally distributed it. ourselves.
Okay.
Which a lot of
The record is lovely. I've been playing it, and it's more than just the music. It's the story of well, let's let people watch this, and then we'll explain, because we could talk about this, and it's like, what the hell are you talking about? All right, Addictive TV on Sama. That's beautiful work.
Thank you.
Really beautiful work.
For me, again, one of the beauties is that, as you say, behind every story, behind every sample, is a story. And it's and in fact, in that last clip you saw of the guy in Indonesia playing the red kecapi, the stringed instrument, you saw next to him there's an Indian guy, a Tamil guy from Tamil Nadu down south, called Parthiban, who played what's called a nadaswaram. And it's a very specialised double-reeded instrument that it's mainly used in sort of religious and ceremonies, but he plays it in quite a contemporary way. And after we sampled him, he just, because he spoke no English and I didn't speak any Tamil, and a friend of mine who's Tamil and lives there, he was explaining to him what we needed, and we recorded him, took these takes, cut it up, made that track, sent him the track afterwards. And he just sort of sent this message back, sort of in Tamil, which kind of didn't make sense. And we had to get it, send it to my friend to get it translated. But he said, "Oh, great, you found somebody playing a nadaswaram." And he didn't realise that it was him. So I had to write back and go, no, this is you. This is what we recorded with you. And he wrote back saying, "But I didn't play that." And I think that's what's the beauty, is that so many musicians often are stunned at kind of what we've ended up cutting up and making them appear to be playing. And it's, they've got to have a lot of trust in us. And they do. They all say, yes, absolutely, record us, take the stuff and do something, beautiful with it.
You're in an interesting place, and it's an evolving place, because A, you've got the trust, B, you've got the pedigree, so you know what you're doing, and 3, the work is can be transcendent. And it transcended in a way that it's like it's more than a sum of its parts.
Yes.
It lives in audio, it lives in video, and going back to my initial point, it can and should live on multitudes
all
of platforms, and in all different forms. It doesn't need to be that process you were talking about certain, I love ethnomusicologists, I don't want to give them bad mouth, but like certain ones are like, the music must be pure or it's wrong, or it has to live on a particular pedestal and needs to be there. It doesn't. That's like a boomer mentality we stay in the States here right now. It's just like it's moving so quickly, it's evolving so quickly, and if your intention is to share and transcend and to create opportunities for people to open up their hearts, to fight back against xenophobia, stupidity, fascism, whatever form you're using this form, then it's up to you to actually share it and make it available. It's kind of like, I don't know what you need to do, but just kind of like loosen up loosen the controls and just let's see what happens in that space. And it seems that
we've started making some of the samples available even on our website. If you click on the remix section, because we want people to download them and make their own remixes and do something creative with them.
Okay, this is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thank you. This is Sama, Seattle Circuit Music and Art. Be well, be safe, wear a mask.